wiretaps, text messages, all kinds of interesting evidence. And the reason that is so compelling is it allows jurors to play detective themselves. They hear a recording, they fill in the pieces, they draw inferences on their own. That is Trump's voice, they'll say, supposedly, and they will draw whatever conclusions the government probably wants them to draw from that tape, which is that Trump knew that he did not declassify documents. I mean, from what I've heard of the tape, it seems pretty apparent right now.
Just a minute ago, Danny, you're mentioning that the judges here, a couple things. So magistrate is overseeing this tomorrow, but the judge actually assigned to overseeing this case, her name's Aileen Cannon, a Trump appointee. Now, a court official says she was chosen at random, but she did also oversee proceedings related to the FBI's search of the former president's Mar-a-Lago estate. What do you make of that, and what challenges is she facing in this case?
First, judges are chosen at random at the federal level, and specifically in the Southern District of Florida. It may be through a computer program, it could be a bingo wheel, it could be anything, but the bottom line is there shouldn't be any allegations that somehow this was magically done to assist Trump. But part two of that is that for folks who are pro-prosecution in this case, they should be happy, frankly. They should not view this as a threat to the sanctity of the trial, because when Trump, as is his wont, starts criticizing a judge for not deciding something his way, like a pretrial motion, he's only going to have himself to look at. It'll beg the question, well, if this judge is supposedly so bad, then why did you appoint her? I don't know that that will stop him. But look, for folks who are interested in justice, this will assure us that Trump has had every opportunity, in that he had a judge who he can't possibly argue is biased against him. So I think that's a good thing for this prosecution and its perception overall.
It's a really interesting point. Danny Cevallos, as always, thank you.
Another U.S. citizen has been arrested in Russia. Musician Michael Travis Leak was detained over the weekend on drug dealing charges. He's the latest American in recent years to be held in Russia. NBC News chief international correspondent Keir Simmons joins us now with more on this. Keir, good morning.
Hey, Joe, good morning to you. This will reignite questions over whether President Putin is deliberately pursuing a strategy of effectively taking American hostages, or whether, as Russia says, these are U.S. citizens falling foul of Russian law. Certainly, these arrests could not take place without President Putin's approval.
Vladimirovich Putin.
Russian President Vladimir Putin at an awards ceremony this morning as American musician Travis Leak becomes the latest U.S. citizen to appear behind bars in a Moscow courtroom. Video shows him denying the charges.
I am not admitting to any guilt, and I do not believe that I have done what I've been accused, because I don't know what I've been accused of.
NBC News cannot verify when the video was made or whether Leak was under duress during the filming. Leak has lived in Russia, making influential rock music. He was even interviewed by the late Anthony Bourdain in 2014. This exchange recorded as a mic fail.
No, it's the KGB. They're blocking your signal. I'm quite sure you've had someone on your tail the entire time you've been here.
Now, Moscow's court service announcing he is being held on drug-dealing charges, facing a sentence of around 12 years. It's unclear whether U.S. diplomats have been granted access to Leak in prison. The State Department telling NBC News in a statement, when a U.S. citizen is detained overseas, the department pursues consular access as soon as possible. The American government continuing to press for the release of Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich and American businessman Paul Whelan. Last year, WNBA star Brittany Griner spent 10 months in prison, accused of carrying hash oil in a vape cartridge until she was exchanged for a Russian arms dealer. Over the weekend, Russia and Ukraine swapping soldiers. Mum, I'm home, this Russian says, celebrating. While on the front lines, Ukraine's counter-offensive battling to overcome Russian resistance, fighting that will determine both countries' futures. And Joe, Ukraine this morning is celebrating some small victories, taking a number of smaller villages, but Russia has had the opportunity over a sustained period to fortify its front lines, and it does have air superiority along those front lines. So it is far too early to say where this battle will be in the months to come. Joe.
All right, Keir, thank you so much.
Now let's get a check on your morning news now weather.
Joining us now, meteorologist Michelle Grossman with the forecast. Hey, Michelle.
Hey there, guys. Great to see you. And we are watching some unsettled weather over the next several days, especially in the southern plains, parts of the Northeast. But you can see even out west, we're looking at some rain. That's where we're seeing the green on the map here. From the Intermountain West into portions of the Rockies, we're pulling off the Pacific Ocean, seeing that moisture there. Ahead of that, we're looking at below average temperatures. So a lot of us below average over the next several days. One spot that is not below average, the southern plains. We're into the 100s in some spots in southern Texas, feeling like 110. And then severe weather. So we have that warmth in place. We're going to aid those storms with that warmth. Severe storms in portions of the southern plains, especially where you see those darker colors along the Gulf Coast states into the southeast. Also the northeast from the Great Lakes, seeing the chance for some heavy rain. It's much needed, but we have some very dry grounds. When we get the heavy rain, those downpours, we could see some flooding with some of those storms. By Wednesday, we're going to kind of hold on to that rain into the Intermountain West, into the Rockies as well. We're looking at some heavy rain, some severe storms into portions of the Gulf Coast states. Notice really toasty still in Texas. So you're going to need the fans there, air conditioning over the next several days. The Northeast, we're going to be wet once again. We're looking at anywhere from the Northeast into portions of New England, especially the coastal parts of the East. By Friday, we're going to keep rain in place from the northern plains, the Midwest, into portions of the Southeast as well. Record warmth continuing in portions of the southern plains, especially in Texas. Seasonal, dry, and sunny in the Southwest. So a really nice end to your work week in the West. We could see some showers and storms in the Tennessee Valley and more spotty showers in parts of the Northeast. So again, much needed, but we're going to see many days of rain in parts of the East. This is what radar looks like right now. It's really active. It's been active pretty much for the past several hours. It was active yesterday as well. This is where we're seeing some strong thunderstorms, especially where you see the reds and oranges. We're seeing those heavy thunderstorms. We're seeing some plain rain in the Great Lakes. That is stretching down to portions of the southeast. But we are looking at some storms, too, in the southeast, again, denoting where you see those darker colors. We have that severe threat as we go throughout this afternoon into the evening hours. A lot of the country is under the threat for severe weather. 19 million people at risk. The biggest takeaway, we're going to see some very large hail. Could be tennis ball size hail. That could cause some damage. Also some winds gusting over 60 miles per hour. Few tornadoes possible in the southern plains, especially where you see that orange color. Waco, you're included in that, but Dallas, Lufkin, Monroe, even over to Hattiesburg, we could see some strong storms. And notice on the East Coast, too, southern Delaware into southern New Jersey, North Carolina, Virginia could see some storms as well. And then we're looking at heavy rainfall, locally 4 inches in some spots where you see the red. This is much needed rain, guys, especially in the Northeast. We're looking at the chance for that really heavy rain. That could lead to some flash flooding, especially in the dry ground in the Northeast. But 2 inches per hour, looking at some rainfall rates in parts of the South, and that's going to lead to the chance for flash flooding. You just want to be careful as you're out and about.
All right, we know you guys will keep an eye on it.
Yeah,
thanks, Michelle.
Sure.
Coming up, an incredible story of survival. The new information we are learning this morning about how 4 children were able to survive 40 days in the Amazon jungle after their plane crashed.
Plus, Ukraine's long-awaited counteroffensive is now underway. As you heard, we're on the ground with the latest in what's expected to be a long and difficult effort to drive Russian forces out of the country. Stay with us.
With Dexcom G7, you can achieve diabetes results without finger sticks. See how exercise affects your glucose